My name's Stewart Goodwin. I'm a retired Brigadier General, United States Air Force, and I'm the Executive Director of the Indiana War Memorials Commission. I was on active duty at the time, and I was the Chief of Staff for the Indiana Air National Guard. And we were in a meeting when all this started, a little after 8 o'clock in the morning. So I was a colonel. I was a full colonel at the time. And we started to get in the office and sit down, and that was just when the second jet hit the towers. And it was like you were watching a movie. I mean, it didn't seem real at all. And then you started to see people were jumping out of windows, and it was just it was surreal. I think the definition of surreal would fall right in category with that. Our unit had two wings, one was in Terre Haute, Indiana, the other was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and they were F-16 units. So we had to put the jets into combat mode, and we were waiting for our orders, which came within about 3 hours. And the first order that we got was to fly CAPs, Combat Air Patrols, up in Chicago. And we didn't know. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know anything about Shankstown at that time. We didn't know anything about the Pentagon. We didn't know anything about. We thought all these different targets that were possibilities, but nobody knew. And so as the morning progressed and we started to see, what the other targets were, then we would deploy those jets. And one of the things that was very, I think scary is the only word I can think of, is that there was a possibility that we saw where they hijacked an airliner, and they were, going to try to fly it into Washington, D.C. That's what happened in Shankstown. What we were doing is that we were reacting to those kind of things, and it was just busy. And then that evening, things started to slow down a little bit, and we started to think about it. And the truth is that this country had only been attacked one time, and that was in Pearl Harbor on the 7th of December in 1941. And now we're being attacked for the second time. Well, now what these people have done is that they have taken a normal conveyance that happens all the time, flying in an airplane, and they took 4 of them over. And so that's something that's new to us. We're not thinking that that's not happened before. And so now what we've got to do is we've got to start thinking about, your head's on a swivel. Everything that you do, you have to think of, is somebody else going to attack us the next time? The world changed dramatically on that day, because what happens is that we don't know when the next attack or if another attack is going to happen. But our concept, or the premise that we work under, is that we would never preemptively strike. We would not be the first to shoot. And so now we've got a situation where we don't know where these are coming from. We don't know if this is a national thing. We don't know who the enemy is. We just know that they're terrorists and they're trying to hurt us. And so what we want to do then is that, we need to be preparing our stuff. The thing that I would want your students and the people that are going to see this to know is the fact that the country changed forever on that day. And the thing that was really interesting about it is that you couldn't find an American flag. The stores were all sold out. Everybody was flying an American flag. They had them in the back of pickup trucks. They had them draped over the overpasses on the interstate. Everybody had a flag out. Everybody was an American at that point in time. It didn't matter what your political, Republican or Democrat. It didn't matter what the color of your skin was. It didn't matter what chromosome you have. We were Americans. We all came together because you kicked us in the face. And so what we want to do now is that we want to make sure you don't do that again. We've lost thousands of people. First responders, we've lost more first responders than we did the day of the event. And the reason for that was because these buildings, these concrete buildings in New York City, they they were they were just pulverized. It caused a cancer that they knew nothing about. And there's a lot of people. In fact, there's more people now that have been affected with that and died than the 3,000 that we lost on that first day. In fact, we have an exhibit right here from this for the that shows people what the steel looked like and that kind of business. And we talk about the four Hoosiers that died in the World Trade Center, and the four of them, none of them knew each other, but two of them had only been working at the towers for 2 weeks. And I mean, those are the kind of stories. We have this lady right here who was in the Pentagon, and was having elective surgery. And the end of the fiscal year for the federal government is the end of September. So this is on the 11th of September, and they were closing out the books. And so she canceled her medical appointment and went into the Pentagon and was killed. Those are the kind of stories that we want people to know about. This guy right here is a friend of mine. He's a 3-star general, Army guy. And he was, for lack of a better term, he was the human resource director for the entire Army, active guard and reserve, 3-star general. And I knew his family, knew his sister, knew his dad, worked with his dad, and just a great guy. And he was the senior person killed that day, and he's a Hoosier. Of all of these things that we've been talking about, the thing that is probably the most important is the fact that the reason museums and doing things like the 9/11 project is to have 3-dimensional type things that you can see, you can touch, and you can tell people that weren't there about what happened. Because somebody a lot smarter than I am said, if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going. And so it's important that we teach this history to the people.